Hello again, it's me TFR Wilderness for the second time today with the second video, and in this time it's my end of month bot haul for December. So this is my final video for 2018, and yeah, I've had quite a extensive collection of things that I've bought this month. It's been a pretty blockbusting month with no less than 29 items to show you in this video. So there's a good chance this video will go over an hour, so I'm apologies for that if you're one of those masochists who like to sit through my videos right to the very end. Okay, so let's get on with it, shall we? Yeah, as I usually do, I go through all the items I've bought in chronological order. I'll tell you what day I got them on, and then I show you them, and then eventually at the end of the video there'll be like a musical photo gallery at the very end where I go through everything, giving the dates and the order that they arrived in. So with that said, let's get on with it. So December, December. Now, I had a few plans I wanted to do, events I wanted to go to this month, most notably my pre-Christmas toy hunt and the NEC Toy Fair. So because of those, I did quite well, and I've got quite a lot to show you. But the beginning of the month, now as I've now finished the restoration on my G1 Ultra Magnus, I've been thinking I'd like to do a similar restoration on another G1 figure in my collection, and that particular character that I've picked is my G1 Whirl, because I picked a G1 Whirl up at, I think it was an NEC Toy Fair, was it last year or the year before, for 25 quid, and it was loose, badly sun faded, super loose joints, slight damage to the head sculpt, and is missing all his accessories, so prime candidate for a restoration. And with that in mind, I've started collecting up bits for it, and on the 5th of December, the first couple of bits arrived, and it is the this thing, which is the Photon beam rifle. So that's one of his guns, and then I got the this one, which is I think the Paralyzo box cannon or whatever it was. This attaches to his legs. So yeah, so I picked up those two bits off eBay from a guy in the Netherlands, I think it was, for a reasonable price. I mean, I paid about £6.70 each for these. Obviously, there are far fewer parts for G1 Whirl, but they're going to be more expensive because, he's a rarer character, not like Ultra Magnus, who's everywhere. So I've made a start, and I'm not going to make a start on the restoration of my G1 Whirl until I get all the parts in, and I'm not going to spread it out over 12 months like I did the last restoration. I'll probably do 2 or 3 videos where I'll go over quickly wash over the various steps of the restoration and get it done. But he really needs something doing to him, and G1 Wreckers. He's part of my G1 Wreckers lineup, and I'd like to smarten him up for that role. So yeah, I've got my first couple of bits. And they arrived on December 5th. Now on December 6th, an eBay item arrived, which I ordered last month, and it's this thing. So this is Transformers AU Info Bar, mobile phone Ultra Magnus. Well, actually, it's called Anin Optimus Prime. So I don't know what Anin means, but it's a white prime. But to me, a white prime is Ultra Magnus. So I really wanted to get one of these things. Now, they go for ridiculous prices, these things. I mean, this thing is small. It's like a very sort of spindly deluxe. It's got some interesting engineering. And this particular one was not the regular retail. The regular retail Optimus Prime goes for about 45-50 quid, but this one, because it was an exclusive repaint, it goes for about 85 to 100. And paying 100 quid or 85 quid for this, there's no way I was going to do that. But back end of November, I was looking on eBay, and one came up for about, I think it was about 30 something quid plus the postage. So when I paid for the auction, it was just about 55 quid, and I thought, great. And then the item came over to the UK, and it got a customs hit. So another 22 quid, so I ended up paying nearly 80 quid for this, which was really disappointing. And then, when I got it out of the box and went to transform it, something fell out. One of his feet had broken off. Yes, now the toy was damaged. Now, when you look at the auction description, And I've taken some screenshots of it. If you look at these two screenshots, you will see that the seller covered himself by saying that the condition, it said used packaging damaged. Now, he didn't go into details as to what the damage was on the figure, and I assume that's why he was selling it at such a low buy it now price. I mean, basically half what these things, well, it was less than half than what these things go for normally. I think it was this foot that was, don't know if you can see in there, they've got a very small sort of like ankle pivot, and it just sheared off. I've glued it back together, and it's sort of holding, but the joints are so small and tight on this thing that it's easy to see how it got broken. So now I'm not going to go back to the seller and complain, oh, the toy was broken. I mean, he did cover himself by saying it was damaged in the auction description, but he didn't go into details as to what the actual damage was. So, I mean, I have theoretically got this thing cheap. It's an interesting design. I like these oddball sort of transformers that transform into a bit of tech. I mean, this is the second such transformer I've got. It goes into a mobile phone. I've got one of those Real Gear, was it Speed Dial 800? I've got him as well. It's a really neat figure, but the fact that it got a customs hit and it turned out to be damaged really upset me, and it came, that close to becoming the worst bot I've got this month. But I'll pick something up later on which in my opinion is worse. But anyway, I got hold of this guy, Transformers O info bar, and in Optimus Prime aka Ultra Magnus, and he arrived on the 6th. Now, following day, it was a Friday, went uptown, went to see Sid Beckett of Comic Connections, or Spartown Comic Collections, and picked up the third issue of Star Trek versus Transformers. Now, there's only one issue left of this particular series, and it was the last time I saw Sid, in town doing his comic thing this month. It's an interesting story. Again, it's got that art style that's similar to the sort of G1 style art style, and it's sort of the old animated series they did for Star Trek. Interesting sort of plot and characters, and there's some really cool stuff in this. I mean, like basically some little spoilers. Triptychon transforms into from a Klingon sort of warship, and then then they've Fort Max now transforms into the Starship Enterprise. There's some really weird shit going on in this, and I'd love them to do some toys of some of the images out of here, but it's sort of like a throwaway comic that they're doing. It's kind of interesting. There's one more issue to go, which I'll be getting in January, and then that will be kind of the end of IDW comics for me for a while, because up until a couple of weeks, a week or so ago, we didn't know what the reboot IDW comics was going to be, but just recently news has leaked out that they're going to be based on the Siege toy line, and I kind of suspected that's what they were going to do. They were going to tie in the new comics with the Siege toy line, and it's exactly that. I mean, the character designs are virtually identical to the toy designs, and that's the way they're going. And I kind of guessed that that's what they were going to do. It's supposed to be coming out in March. That's when it's supposed to be appearing, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm not sure where I'm going to go with it, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so I got that. That's the last comic I got this year. So that's IDW Star Trek versus Transformers issue number 3. And that was Friday the 7th. So now, it was basically eBay items and KTRTs. So on the 12th, I had 3 packages arrive from, 2 from eBay, and they were my KTRTs. And the first one that I got, obviously, was a Hello Carbots Cretaceous period Tyrannosaur Tyracles. Done a review of him. He's pretty neat little figure. He's got some issues, as they all do, but he's decently articulated and reasonable build quality. The Dino mode's pretty good. Kind of reminds me of Terry from Dinosaur King, but he has got these stupid googly eyes as well on the dinosaur mode. But he's he's a decent figure. Now, when I was doing the review on this, I keep seem to forgetting to show some of the articulation. Now, I don't think I showed the knee articulation on this guy. Now, they go to that far, but if you flip that out, you can get a little bit more. So it has got knee articulation, and obviously the hips go right out to the side and forwards and backwards and all that. So I know for the last couple of reviews I've missed out some of the articulation steps, and I get distracted when I get to the waist, because some KTRTs don't have thigh swivels, and I get into that routine of saying, oh, but this didn't come with thigh swivels because it's a KTRT and they don't do that sort of thing, and then I totally forget to either to do the hips or the knees. So yeah, that's kind of normal for me. So when you see the next KTRT review, see if I miss out any of the articulation steps. But yeah, so I got him. He's all right. And then this guy arrived. Yeah, Dino Core. Mega D Fighter Tyranno. It's my first and possibly only Dino Core figure that I'm going to get. I mean, this guy is super butch and heavy duty. The review I did on it, I did as YouTube premiere videos. I set it to go up because I reviewed him and Tyracles back to back, and so I set it for a week on the Thursday evening, and when I went online to see if anybody was watching it, there was just me watching it on two separate devices, and nobody else watched it, so that was a waste of time. But anyway, he's a really good, strong, sturdy figure. He's got lots of loud ratchets, really big and heavy, thick plastic. He's got bicep swivels. Again, I think I missed some of the articulation on this guy. I mean, the hips only go out that far. He's got skirts that lift up so his legs go forwards and backwards, and then obviously the knees go to 90 degrees. So I think I missed out some of the articulation on the review of that as well. So yeah, there was that guy. I got him. He's really cool. Really awesome figure. Really heavy, chunky, thick, butch, bulky, hench robot. Awesome. The dinosaur mode is a little bit compromised due to the engineering. Doesn't quite look as good as the CGI model. The legs are a bit too far forward and a bit too close in for my liking for a Tyrannosaur, but got him. He's pretty cool. And that arrived on the 12th. And also, now I didn't actually get the delivery. Well, didn't get the delivery when it came in because they left it sort of down the side, and it wasn't until my mum noticed afterwards that this next guy arrived. Now this next guy, as I said because he's actually on my, you've actually seen it already because it was on my TF18 to 2018 video for December. There's, I like collecting my Megatron gun formers because that's full of them. I think I've got all the molds now. Again, because the new one came out that I didn't know about by NBK, that company that's known for making knockoffs of third-party figures, most notably the Generation Toy Gravity Builder. They did a knockoff of that, and as part of that set, if you pre-ordered all 6 figures for their MBK Gravity Builder, then they did a extra sort of chaser figure, exclusive chaser figure of this guy. Now, this is the MBK Megatron. I think the name they've given to him is Small Gun because obviously Ben of Ben Collectibles did a video on it and that's what he called it, but I've not seen any official names for it. And this thing's kind of hard to get hold of. I mean, I was looking for it on eBay, couldn't find anybody selling it on eBay, and it wasn't until I watched a video by Retro Prime in Scotland, and he's saying he'd been on AliExpress and bought some cheap bots. So I decided to have a look on AliExpress, and lo and behold, I managed to find one seller who was selling this guy on AliExpress, and he was doing it for a really good price. I mean, you can get them loose for under 15 quid, or if you buy them with the box like what I did, obviously it's in the other room, if you buy it with the box, it was just under 20 quid. So I went and ordered it on December 1st, and it arrived 12 days later. My first sort of AliExpress purchase, and I was really happy with it. Brilliant figure, I love it. I mean, it's based on his appearance in that one brief scene in the final episode of was it episode 6 of the Transformers Machinima Combiner Wars series. where Megatron transforms into this futuristic Cybertronian rifle, and then Optimus grabs him and shoots Starscream with him. I've got some screen grabs of it here for you to have a look at. Yeah, and so you can see, Megatron transforms into this futuristic, rifle. Optimus grabs him and then pow, you shoot Starscream, and that's basically what this transformed into. The design isn't quite the same, but it's got enough styling cues on it to make it look similar. But it's a great little figure. It's size wise, it's sort of halfway between a Deluxe and a Voyager. It's really well articulated. It's got a fun transformation. It's got a really awesome, sort of smirking head sculpt. And I've just been messing around with this thing no end since I got it. I just keep getting it out and flipping it backwards and forwards between the two modes. Fantastic little figure, and I really love this thing, and so it made it onto my TF18 of 2018 list, my best bot I picked up in December. But obviously you'll see that at the end of the video with the first and worst. So yeah, got him, MBK Megatron, and he arrived on the 12th along with those other two KTRTs. Then there was a bit of a gap then up until the end of the pre-Christmas toy hunt that I like to do. It's something that is kind of a tradition. I have a couple of traditions that I like to do, and this is one of them. I always like to go round the shops in the week before Christmas, because there's a good chance that they'll be fully stocked with all the latest toys, and you'll be able to pick up get your best chance of picking up the figures that you want to pick up. Now, for the previous years, obviously Toys R Us was a big thing about going out on my pre-Christmas toy hunt, but unfortunately this year we lost Toys R Us. Toys R Us went properly bankrupt and disappeared off the face of the earth, even though there are rumours that the company's going to be coming back as Jeffrey's Toy Box in America, and Toys R Us is also surviving in Canada and the Far East, because it's just in Europe and the US that it's gone down the toilet. But hey ho. And it's a shame really, because I got one of those Christmas gift cards from work that I used to be able to use in Toys R Us, but now Toys R Us has gone. There are other shops you can use them in. Unfortunately, I can't use them in Smith's. I can use it in Entertainer, but it's a £30 gift voucher, and you must use it. You must redeem it against an item that costs more than £30. That's part of the rules of using it, and I don't know what I'm going to use it on. So I would have used that because I was looking to find a Power the Primes Predaking at a discounted price pre-Christmas, but didn't see him anywhere. I mean, sooner or later he's going to pop up in the shops at a discounted price, but for the time being, Power the Primes, as we know, it was a toy line that got cut short, and now the Siege stuff is in the shops. So yeah, that never happened. But needless to say, I went out on my toy hunt, and obviously no Toys R Us, but I went to Smith's, which is my usual first stop, and I went in there and I was looking for Siege figures and Power the Primes figures, and I was looking around, and they had 3 of the Optimus Voyagers, and I was looking at them and thinking, why haven't they got a Megatron? And I thought, well, that's it, I'm going to come away from here empty-handed. And I looked down and saw another Power the Primes figure, which I was halfway interested in. I picked that up, and then as my eyes swept across, I went to the aisle next, sort of like the section next door, like a couple of shelves up, and there was Megatron. It was the only one they had in stock, or the only one they had on the shelf. So yeah, got me a Siege Megatron. He's really good as a Voyager Megatron. I mean, I got quite a few Megatrons this month. Yeah, he looks awesome. Yeah, he's got all this sort of battle damaged paintwork on it, which you can take it or leave it. I'd prefer to have mine clean. I don't know whether I'll have a go at trying to remove it, because apparently you can with some of that sort of like lighter fluid. You can take it off with lighter fluid. Yeah, he's a great figure. Don't care much for the tank mode. It's a Cybertronian tank. It transforms into something that kind of looks like a tank, and to be honest, it's kind of sad now, because I like my Megatron gunformers, and I know Megatron turning into a gun is very old hat. It's very sort of last century. It's not very practical for him to mass swap from something that's a huge giant robot into a little piddly little handgun. Yeah, so since G2, they've been moving away from that and turning Megatron into a tank, even though other gun formers have come out. The last official one we're going to get is MP36, and we're getting a couple of repaints of that, and I think that will be the end of official Megatron gunformers. There's still, some third-party companies that are still doing Megatron gunformers. Obviously, MBK had a go at it doing the Combiner Wars one. So we've got that, but I don't know. I think this is the end of official, or the end of even a third-party Megatron gunformers, because you look at that new Iron Factory Megatron that's been announced, and it transforms into a tank which looks virtually identical to this in alt mode. So yeah, even that, it's got like the robot mode's got like 3 different modes, 3 different looks, like an IDW look and a G1 look and a different look, and so yeah. But I got him. He is a good figure. I like my G1 Megatrons. It looks every inch the G1 Megatron in his bot mode, so that's good enough. It's just a shame that we've moved away from the Megatron gunformers, but that's only my personal preference. But this is the way of the future, and anyway, I managed to get hold of one, so that was good. And then while I was in there, obviously, I picked up Moonracer, Power of the Prime's Moonracer. I had the opportunity to get this earlier in the year, but I passed on it because, I wanted to get Novastar, and I got Novastar, was it last month? But now that I'm thinking I'd like to do a Fembot combiner, get Elita 1 and get the Fembot combiner, because I think it'd be fun to build up a separate Fembot combiner instead of going out on a limb and buying Megatronia or Victorion. So yeah, so I went for Moonracer. I mean, I like the colours on this. The colours are pretty cool, but again, the mould has got this enormous backpack. It's still it's got these overt kibble on the legs. It's a shame that didn't turn round so it faced towards the rear, but hey ho. We've got is it Greenlight that's going to be coming out as part of the What's It series. They're doing Greenlight, so they're doing another version of this mould. It's a shame the Chromia that's coming as part of the Siege line doesn't have they've engineered out the combiner gimmick, so they could have used her as part of it as well. But yeah, so I got her. She's all right. She's okay. You can never have enough Fembots in your collection. So yeah, I got hold of Moonracer. And then I had to walk down the aisle a bit further to find these, but BotBots, yes, BotBots are in Smiths. They had the individual blind packs and they had the multi-packs as well. I wanted to get a single blind pack, and if you watched my Chewing the Fat video, which I did before Christmas, you'll know that I showed this and I predicted the bot that I think is in this package, and as you can see, it's still sealed. I haven't opened it. So now let's see what my prediction was. Now my prediction was that in here is SA Cheese, that guy there, the little camera bot. That's who I think is in this. So let's open it up and see who we've got. So you've got the little flap, and you open that. Then you've got your thing. So you press it. And it's Say Cheese. Yeah, so my prediction was correct. It's exactly the bot I said it was. Let's get these stupid instructions out. Pulling them out. So yeah, it is Say Cheese, the bot I said it was. So yeah, you just got to pull his sort of legs out, and then you bring the arm round. And there you go. Little dumpy little camera bot. So yeah, now, how did I know that what was in here was, say, cheese? Well, actually, they are sort of semi-transparent, even though you've got the, you know, the label that obscures your view through the side of it. If you hold it behind a bright light, you can actually see through it, and you can see just enough of the bot, the shape of the bot, and I could see the lens, the lens cap, or the lens, so I could see the square shapes of the body and the lens, and that's how I knew it was say cheese. But also they have almost like don't know if you can see it. There's like an engraved number down the bottom. It says number 9 on mine, and somebody else did an unboxing on one of these, and theirs was a number 9 as well. And when they took theirs out, that was a say cheese. So I don't know whether this sort of embossed number they have down here is a marker to say who's in the actual packet. But anyway, I said it was say cheese, and it was say cheese. So yeah, my prediction was accurate. So yeah, my first BotBot. And he's part of the... What is he part of? He's part of the techie team, isn't he? Let's have a look. Yeah, he's part of the techie team. So yeah, so that's techie team, say cheese, my first BotBot. And I don't want to go mad buying these things, because to be honest, they do appeal to me because the alt modes are so bizarre and out there, and I do like bots that are a little bit oddball, and I can see myself getting a bit, you know, going over the top with these things, but I'm going to try and resist the temptation to buy them when I see them. But yeah, so I've got that, and successful prediction on my BotBot. Right, okay, so yeah, I got that. So that was Smith's. Obviously, I was doing this toy hunt on Wednesday, December the 19th. So I did Smith's first. Then I drove into town and I went to Forbidden Planet. Now, at Forbidden Planet, I was hoping to see a couple of other bots. I was hoping to see some of the Siege figures. You know, I was hoping to see some of the Siege Deluxes, and possibly some some later Studio Series figures. And I was also looking for a couple of pop vinyls. But while I was in there, I walked over to where the Transformers were, and there didn't appear to be much. So I had a quick flick through the figures that they had on the shelf, and found one of the figures that I wanted to get. Studio Series Dropkick. Went to see the Bumblebee movie before Christmas, and yeah, it was really, really good. It was awesome. And this is one of the figures that I wanted to get. Now, he is small. He is, very small. Well, can I? Yeah, let's put him next to. I mean, look how small he is compared to Moonracer. Yeah, and Moonracer's not a big bot. So yeah, he's very small, and I reckon that's down to the size scale that they use for the Studio Series. He's a bit spindly, and as some people have been pointing out, he's the wrong colour. He should be this dark blue colour. But then again, because he's a triple changer, they've gone for the helicopter mode, because he turns into a Cobra helicopter. And the transformation, the engineering on this thing's really good, and I love the helicopter mode, and I can honestly see down the line this mould getting repainted into Whirl. Just change the head sculpt, paint it bright blue. Maybe with a little bit of engineering, you can get the the skids to work as feet, because Whirl has sort of landing skids for feet. Yeah, so yeah, it could definitely work as a Whirl, I think, if they repainted it and did a bit of remoulding on it. But yeah, he's all right. He's a pretty neat little figure, and I like transforming this guy. Also, because of the way his hips are, he's fairly short when you have the hips down to the side. But if you sort of angle them down slightly, you can actually get him to stand up a little better. But yeah, he's a decent little figure, and I really like this. And I paid $22.99 for it, which was a bit more than I'd want to spend on something like this, but I didn't see him on sale anywhere else. And if I had to buy this guy online, I'd have been paying more than 25 quid for it. So I went for it and I got it, and yeah, he's pretty cool. So that's Studio Series, what is it, 22 Dropkick, which I got at Forbidden Planet. But I didn't find anything else in Forbidden Planet. I didn't find the pop vinyl I was looking for. No no Siege Deluxes. So I was a little bit, came out of there glad that I got Dropkick, but I was a little bit disappointed that I hadn't found anything else. So then I went through the Coventry Town Centre, and I went to Home Bargains because I was looking for that, that Siege on Cybertron box set. Or no, Chaos and Velocitron, isn't it? Chaos and Velocitron box set. But I think I've missed the boat on that one. I think what few packs of that they had to sell in Home Bargains have been and gone. So I've missed that particular opportunity. Then I went to the Entertainer in the lower precinct, and I was hoping to again find some more figures that I was after and some pop vinyls. And even though the Entertainer in Coventry Town Centre is bigger than the one in Leamington, there was nothing in there that I wanted. It was all garbage. It was all the Automorph, Quick Change, Power Battlers, and all those other gimmick toys. It was all that stuff. There was no sort of Voyagers, no Deluxes, and I came out of there really disappointed. And I thought, well, I know I can get these guys from my local, Entertainer back home. So I drove back home, parked outside the house, jumped out the car, marched straight uptown, and yeah, found Elita 1 for £19.20. So she's been on the shelf in my local Entertainer for quite a while. She's been shelf warming, and I wanted to get her because I wasn't going to go for the Starscream version, but I think this mould works a lot better for Elita 1. They have remoulded a few parts, and if you've read the IDW, the Optimus Prime or Talal R1 and stuff like that, you'll know that Elita 1 was she was like the leader of the Carcer colony, along with what's his face. Anyway, well, she was a bit of a cast iron bitch in that, to be honest, and I think this big butch burly mould actually suits her really well. And I wanted to get her because she's also a Fembot Voyager, and you don't get many of those. I mean, admittedly, you get the other two in the other, Fembot combiner sets, Megatronia and Victorion, but she's a standalone character, even though she can transform into the combiner, and I'd like to be able to combine her with the other Fembots to form a combiner, and that's why I bought her. But she's all okay. She's a great figure, and I picked her up in my local Entertainer. Then while I was in there, the little Speed Series Legends Bumblebee from the Bumblebee movie. I've seen a few reviews on this. Decided to get it because it's a pretty neat little thing. It's for a Legend scale. It's Legends or Legion scale, whatever scale it is. They call it the Speed Series. They don't actually call it a Legend or a Legion, but it's about equivalent to sort of a Legend scale in its overall height. Really good. Decent amount of moulding and paint. Simple transformation. Really fun little bot. So got hold of him, and he was only about £5-6 quid. And then obviously while I was in there, pop vinyls. I found the pop vinyls that I was after, and they've been on the shelf in my local Entertainer for quite a while, so I knew they were there. Angry Beavers. So you've got Norbert and Daggett. I love Angry Beavers. I was a big fan of the show. I've got a few episodes of it on videotape. Really, really funny. Love these guys, and these are awesome renditions of those two characters. So I had to get hold of those. And that was the end of my sort of pre-Christmas toy hunt, even though I usually do most of it round Coventry. I had to come back to Leamington to do the last couple of bits to get the last couple of figures that I was after. But no, it was a decent haul. Usually, sometimes I go out on these toy hauls and they're a washout. But I did quite well this time. No, I got Dropkick. Managed to get hold of a Siege Megatron. So it was a pretty good haul. And then obviously that was that for sort of that side of Christmas, and then there was only one event left for this year, and it is the NEC Toy Fair on Thursday, December 27th. And obviously NEC Toy Fair, I've been to all 4 of the NEC Toy Fairs this year, and of course you get an early bird ticket, you get one of the little stickers. And I went there and met up with my mate Richard, and we was sort of walking around and sort of got halfway up well, I usually do a lap around the outside and then sort of go working our way up the middle. And then I sort of got halfway up, and then I found a stall that was selling a bunch of Transformers, and they had stuff on the table and stuff in loose stuff in boxes underneath. And I was having a rummage round in the box, and I think it had something like £6 each or 2 for a tenner. And mooching around in this box, I found Dark of the Moon Legion Megatron, which is again another Megatron, and been after this mode for a while. I've got the Voyager mode in there, so I've gone for the Legion one. This is a really neat little Transformer. I love this thing. It's really cool. So I got hold of him. Then now, Deluxe Ratchet Transformers animated. Now recently I've watched the animated series box set, all 3 seasons, and it made me want to get some more animated figures. Now the thing is, I've already got animated Ratchet. Unfortunately, he's missing his legs. Now, this guy I picked up at a car boot sale back in 2014. I think it was June 2014, so it was like the second month of me becoming a Transformer collector. I went around the car boot sales and I just bought any Transformer related item I could find, including like junkers from car boot sales that were missing bits. And I had this idea to get the legs and fix him up, but since then I've not seen any legs available. And then this guy was in the box, and because it was 2 for a tenner deal, I decided, you know what, I'm going to get a complete Ratchet. So I got hold of him. He's all right. He's in pretty good nick. He's missing his toolkit, but apart from that, he's in really good nick. The joints are tight. Transforms well. So yeah, and he was like a £5. So they were 2 for a tenner, so £5 for him. So I was quite pleased with that. And the figure that was on the table, the big figure that I was looking at, again, animated leader class Megatron. Now he had a price tag of £35, but when I went to deal with the guy, I said, can you do me those slightly cheaper? And he wasn't the stall's owner; he was just somebody who was looking after the stall. And then he had to get on his phone and talk to his mate. He says, "Oh, there's this guy wanting to buy this £35 figure for £30, blah blah blah. Can I let him have a little bit of a discount?" And he did. So I got this for £30. There was on a stall a little bit further down. There was another one of these that was equally complete. I mean, he's got his fusion cannon. He's got his swords. So he was a little bit dusty, but he. So the lights and electronics still work on it. A little bit dusty, but apart from that, it's reasonably tight. It's got all its bits. So yeah, animated leader class Megatron. So that was the 4th Megatron that I got this month. Right, so that was that, and then it was we'd done about sort of 2/3 of the haul, and then me and my mate Richard decided to go and have a cup of tea, which is what we usually do. So we went to the cafe at the back, and also Mr. Zort Rider was supposed to be attending this toy fair because he went to the one in September and really enjoyed it, and said he was going to do the December one. And I've been sending him messages on WhatsApp, are you here? Are you coming? Stuff like that. And WhatsApp is a great messaging service, but it tends to be a bit laggy sometimes. Sometimes the messages get delayed when they're going through, and they don't get read or whatever. And it wasn't until I sat down in a table in the cafe waiting for my mate Richard to go get some cups of tea that I got a response from Zortride, and he says, oh, we're just having a coffee. And I looked round, and there he was, sat in the corner with his friends. So yeah, Rich, Mr. Zortrider, was there. Went over and had a quick chat with him. Then I sat down and had a cup of tea with my mate Richard. So obviously there's two Richards. There's Rich Zortrider and Richard, or Ricardo, because I sometimes call him Ricardo. Was there having his cup of tea, and so after we finished with tea, we finished off working our way around the up the aisles to the far end. Ricardo then had to go off and see another friend of his and do some other stuff. So I then met up again with Mr. Zortrider and his friends, and we started walking around really slowly. And it was while I was doing that, we got to the Geekology stall, and then so I was looking again in. They got a box under the table full of loose bagged figures, and found this. Now I've had to do some research into what this actually is. Now it's a Micromaster combiner, and it's a train former, so it's got like 6 trains that form up this combiner. Now I thought it was 6 train, but it's actually not. On doing some research, the orange parts and the black feet and the fists and that, this is the Takara. It's the reissue of Takara G1 Micromaster Sixliner. Now Sixliner was a slight repaint of 6 train, and that's what this is. It's got the 6 different trains that make up the bot. It's got all the pieces on. Paid 20 quid for this. I bought it because it's train formers and Micromaster combiners. I've got the G1 Devastator Micromaster combiner as well, so I've got 2 of these now. They're fairly simple. There's not a lot of articulation on them. Some of the joints are really tight on this thing, but yeah, it was a pretty cool figure. I managed to get hold of that. And then it was just walking round with Rich and that, and we then came to another stall, and I saw well, actually, I think I'd seen this figure earlier in the day when I was doing my original sweep, and I'd sort of looked at it and thought, well, that's kind of cool, but put it back down. And then when we was over by that stall the second time, I decided, you know what, sod it, I'm going to go for it. And it's this. Now this is one of the Rotor Force. This is one of the Rotor Force figures. I've got Manta Ray, but he's missing his rotor motor. This is now on looking this guy up. This is G2 Ransack. Now he came with some instructions, and on the instructions it says Blitz. That's his name, because there's no other words on this thing. It says Transformers Blitz. Now I don't know whether that's this guy's name or not, because you look him up on TF Wiki and it's down as Ransack. But the main reason why I went for this guy is because the alt mode. It's an F4U Corsair, and I love the F4U Corsair. It's one of my favourite, Second World War warbirds, especially like the American ones from the war in the Pacific. I love the Corsair. It's a beautiful looking aircraft, and it's a transformer of that. And I think GoBots did a version of this plane as well. I think you can get a GoBots Corsair transformer as well. So yeah, I went for that. I mean, it's got the little working rotor gimmick. There you go, you see. It came with a spare rotor, so now I've got both the rotors with it. Transformation's a bit weird, the robot mode's a bit shonky, but I bought it for the alt mode, and the alt mode's really cool, and it's just got that unusual name, Disparity, So I don't know what the name is, but if someone can say whether it's Blitz or Ransack, or Blitz is a European exclusive, because there was that period between sort of G1 and G2 where there was some exclusive releases for the Hasbro G1 G2 line in the UK, where we got some unique figures that are slightly different to the ones that was in America. So there is that. So I got hold of him. And then I carried on walking around with Rich and Zort Rider, and then when we got to the front of the hall, we decided to go our separate ways. And I still had about 30 odd quid left in my pocket, so I thought, well, I don't want to leave here, I want to try and see if I can get something else. So I did a quick scoot, very quick sweep back through the hall, looking at various things, and I got back to the Geekology stall. And I was kneeling down at the front, going through the box of loose figures, and I hear this voice behind me saying, "All right, mate," and I looked around, and there's Sid Beckett of my comic guy, from Comic Connections, aka See No Kibble, and he was stood there behind me, and I had a quick chat with him, and he pointed out on the table this bag full of 4 little G1 style car formers. He says, "Oh, they're really great little bots. They're amazing little bots. You want to get those." Now, on Sid's recommendation, I then went and bought these guys. These are the European ones. These are the G1.5 accelerators. So we've got Hot Rider, Zap, Rapido, and Scram. And Scram you'll probably recognise because he was the character that featured in the TF Nation Decepticons Time Terror, Ladybird book homage thing. So yeah, that's him on the cover. So this is his original toy. So I kind of wanted it to get it because of this. Now these are really good little figures. I especially like Hot Rider. I mean, this colour on this camera isn't really coming out, but it's a really sort of like a really bright sort of teal greeny colour, and it's got lots of pink splashes all over it, and it's got some that is actually more all pinkish red because this camera's just not doing the colours justice, but he's a really cool figure. Zap's okay, Zap's alright. Now, out of all 4 of these bots, Rapido, don't really like this guy because he's got a major design flaw, and they're fairly simple transformations. Where's that gone? The engines come out and become the guns. He has an engine in the back. A fairly simple sort of transformation. And there we go. And yeah, he's got recessed head sculpt. The hood comes down as part of the transformation, but it sits up so high that you can barely see over the front of it. He's like the robotic version, a robotic equivalent of a Chad. Sticking over the wall with a nose over the front, saying, "What nobody head reveal." It's can't believe that. I mean, he's an okay bot otherwise. I mean, the car mode's all right, but they could have done something better with that. I mean, looking at the way the others transform, they could have done it a bit more like the way Zap works, whereas the front of the car comes the shoulders for the arms, and then the head sculpt. I mean, if you flip the head up, he's got a really cool head sculpt, and the head sculpt's revealed. And then you flip that down, you can't even see it. So yeah. Not very clever design on that one, but the rest of them are all right. So yeah, I paid, was it 25 quid for those? They're in really good condition. The decals are in good nick. They've got all their accessories. There's no rust on them. The joints are tight, so they're in really good nick. And I bought them because Sid said so. So yeah, and so I got hold of those. And then also under the in the box underneath the table, I picked out this. This is a G1 Snapdragon body only. It's missing all his accessories. There's no headmaster with it. There's no tail wings. There's no guns. It's just the body. Now I was after a G1 Snapdragon, and there were quite a few in the hall as I was walking around, but none of them were complete. They were all like this or worse. I mean, there was one guy who had 2 of them on his table, and it was like they were both missing the wings. The wings were missing. So, and this one is in reasonably good condition considering it's just a body. All the joints are nice and tight, and it's relatively clean. The decals are intact, and all I've got to do is get the wings, the guns, and the headmaster. That's going to be the hard bit, because headmasters are like hen's teeth and they cost an absolute fortune. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But that will give me another thing to look into restoring next year, perhaps. And I thought this was the last bot that I was going to buy in 2018. I thought, that's it. This is the end. This is the final bot of 2018. Oh, how wrong I was, because the following morning I woke up, checked my phone, and there was an email notification from Kapow. We have dispatched your pre-order. Thought, okay, what was this? So I think, well, the only things I've got and pre-ordered with Kapow are something I ordered at the beginning of the month, because they put the pre-order up for the Mastermind Creations reformatted Pet and Nickel for the DJD set, and I put in a pre-order for that because I wanted to get the first run of those, and you know, it's best part 100 quid for 2 little legend scale figures, but hey ho, I put a pre-order down for that. But there was another pre-order I placed back in October, and it was for Mastermind Creations Cylindrus, their IDW roller. And I noticed in the run up to Christmas that one of the eBay sellers that I keep an eye on, Mr. Netcloud, he got his in stock like a week before Christmas, and I thought, well, no, if this figure's now finally been released, then I should get a notification from Kapow to say, you know, they've got it and they've shipped it. And so I did. However, I wasn't expecting to get this figure until the new year. I really wanted it. I didn't want it to arrive between Christmas and New Year, but here's Kapow shipping it on, was it Friday the 28th they shipped it, or was it Saturday the 29th, or whatever it was? Anyway, they shipped it out, and obviously I've then been tracking it using the Royal Mail tracking app, and this morning it arrived. And because of this figure, it's kind of threw my video making procedure, my video making schedule into chaos, because this figure had the potential to become, you know, a TF18 a 2018 bot, because it's based on the Kultor mold, and the Kultor is one of the best bots I got last year. I was absolutely blown away by it. But this one, it arrived this morning at about 10:30. Mastermind Creations reformatted R34 Cylindrus. Now, I've already shown this in my TF18 2018 video, because I put him down as an honourable mention. He's very good, don't get me wrong, but he's not good enough to be a TF18 of 2018. Not quite. There's a few minor quibbles I have with it. Most notably, compared to the illustrations of the figure on the box, they have changed some of the colours slightly. Like this green they've used, the original colour was slightly darker shade of green, and they've gone for a slightly darker grey, whereas the other one was slightly lighter. And some of the other panels have changed colour as well. And I know that's a minor gripe, but apart from that, it's really, really solid. Transforms virtually the same as Kultor. There's a few little bells and whistles. That's got quite a lot of sort of kibble on the backpack, but there's plenty of joints on it. You can mess around with it and have it however you want. But he's a really big, solid, chunky figure. It comes with that comic, and the comic was kind of interesting, even though I don't think it's as good as some of the other comics they've done. But they sort of hinted in that comic for the next comic that's coming out is going to be, Fox, Wyatt and Nee when they come out. So yeah, he arrived this morning at like 10:30, and he's the last bot I got this year. Which in some ways it was good, because this was going to be the last bot I got this year, and now it's this guy. So, I've got a decent bot as my final bot 2018. So that in that way it's good. But though I kind of wished that Kapow had held on to this till the new year and then sent it in the new year, then this would have been the first bot I got in 2019. and it would have been a good bot to start the year off with. But again, a minor gripe, but I've got him now, and he's pretty cool, and he's the last bot for 2018. So that has been my final bot haul for December 2018 of this year. Yeah, so all that's left for me to do at the end of this video is to give you my first and worst. And like I said, Cylindrus nearly messed this up for me, but I've finally come to the decision. First, worst. Yeah, so MBK Megatron, really love him, and very disappointed by this ridiculous hood chest on Rapido. Apart from that, he's a good little figure, but you know, they could have done better. They could have done a lot better on that. So that is it. That's my my final video for 2018. Tonight it's New Year's Day. It's the strikes at midnight, and yeah. So next video you see will be in 2019. It's been a reasonable year for collecting for me, and I hope it's been a reasonable year for you. I mean, there's been all sorts of crap going on in the world which hasn't made it a particularly good year in general, but I don't want to get into that too much. Yeah, so hopefully you know, if you're a viewer of mine, you'll be enjoyed watching my videos, and more to come in the new year. I'm planning on making a few changes to my format of these little haul videos I do. I'm going to carry on doing them. I'm going to keep the first and worst thing going. I'm going to change the thumbnail design because I do that every year. And also next year I'm planning on doing more reviews of proper Transformers, because when I look back over the last 12 months on my my channel, and I went into this on my Chewing the Fat video I did before Christmas, when I look back at over the year, I've mostly been reviewing those Korean bots, and I've hardly been doing any official Transformer reviews. I mean, in fact, in the last 12 months I've only reviewed 2 official Transformer figures. One in January and I think one in May. So yeah, so hopefully next year you'll be seeing reviews of you know, Studio Series or, you know, Siege figures as I get them. Maybe, you know, little Legion class third party figures like, you know, Magic Square, Ultra Magnus, or, you know, sort of KOs. So yeah, I'm certainly planning on doing a bit more, you know, proper reviewing on my channel in the new year, so you got that to look forward to. So without further ado, I've been TFI Wilderness. This has been 2018. Hope you've enjoyed watching me over the last 12 months, and I'll see you in the new year. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.